Hi. Modern shooters delight the eye with their graphics and sometimes even with a quality plot and gameplay. However, with each passing year, such occurrences become rarer as the niche is predominantly filled by repetitive battle royales and online arenas for multiple players. But let's not dwell on the sad, because I managed to find 20 fresh shooters that have already been released in 2023. I'll start with Trepang 2. It is a first-person shooter where we take on the role of a soldier with super abilities and amnesia. At the beginning of the game, a mysterious group of people rescues him from a secret laboratory. As the game progresses, the hero will unlock various abilities, including time distortion, invisibility, superhuman speed and strength, and a large arsenal of melee combat techniques will be added to the use of firearms. The game can be compared to Fear, especially in moments with time slowdown. The most fun feature of the game is dual wielding. Using 2 shotguns or 2 grenade launchers becomes much more enjoyable. However, the ammo runs out twice as fast. Kill the Crows. It is a pixelated shooter set in the Wild West where players must help the protagonist deal with armed thugs. The game's main feature is its high difficulty level, reminiscent of Hotline Miami. Similar to the heroine, enemies can also die from a single shot, emphasizing the importance of using the environment wisely and reacting quickly when aiming. The weapon selection is somewhat limited, but at least there's variety, which is better than relying on one revolver throughout the entire game. The amount of equipment available is also a pleasant surprise. Immortals of Aveum. It is a first-person fantasy shooter where the main character joins the Order of Immortals with the intention of saving the world. The gameplay focuses on using magical spells as weapons, with spells varying in range and effectiveness. The game features over 20 spells, 80 skills, and a crafting and equipment upgrading system. The setting is a wild blend of science fiction and fantasy, with players taking on the role of a member of a squad of battle mages fighting on a colossal walking mech ship reminiscent of a colossus. Armored Core Fires of Rubicon transports players to the planet Rubicon 3, where humanity discovers a unique resource promising almost infinite energy. However, this resource leads to a catastrophe, destroying the planet. Currently, mercenaries head to Rubicon 3, battling for control of this energy source. The game focuses on gripping mech battles, allowing players to create diverse builds to suit their playstyle. While the game's narrative is not its strongest aspect due to limited story elements, the mech battles elevate the level of interest. Players can customize their robots, experimenting with various weapon and armor combinations, adding strategic depth to the combat. The variety of possible builds and upgrades provides significant gameplay variability. Witchfire. It is an exhilarating shooter with roguelike elements set in a medieval fantasy world during the 15th century. Players assume the role of a witch hunter tasked with annihilating all manner of supernatural entities, saving ordinary people from the forces of darkness, and exploring various zones. In this game, players face a diverse array of monsters using a wide arsenal of firearms and assorted gadgets. The game goes beyond simple shootouts, requiring players to make tactical decisions. Battles become less straightforward, demanding attention to stamina and diverse weapon usage. The weaponry in the game is diverse and unique, with each designed for specific tasks. Spells are also present, adding more room for tactical maneuvering, with the ability to combine them with weapons to create effective combinations. The game's objective is to defeat the main witch boss, yet reaching her is not easy due to various bosses and their minions scattered across different regions of the island. Players have the freedom to choose their path and difficulty level. Arma Reforger. It is a first-person shooter set during the Cold War, offering large-scale multiplayer battles on a vast open map with diverse weaponry. The game boasts realistic physics and supports modifications and the conflict mode. As a standalone project, it serves as a precursor to the upcoming Arma 4, featuring the Infusion engine with numerous improvements, including cross-platform compatibility with Xbox. Currently limited in content to 1 island, 3 factions, and a basic arsenal, Reforger is seen not only as a game, but also as a platform for mods and community collaboration. The Cold War setting gives the project a unique appeal, attracting fans of the original Operation Flashpoint. RIPOUT. It is a cooperative science fiction first-person shooter that throws players into the distant future. In the year 2084, humanity falls victim to its own experiments, leading to the transformation of people into mutants. The main protagonist, one of the last surviving soldiers of Earth, embarks on a quest to find other survivors and a shelter. The game combines first-person science fiction horror shooting with roguelike elements. Battling mutants on an abandoned spaceship using diverse weaponry is a quite enjoyable activity. Alien monsters can alter themselves through genetic modifications, becoming a true nightmare. Additionally, we have a personal pet in the form of sentient biotechnology that can be used in combat and as a cargo carrier. Turbo Overkill. It is a dynamic first-person shooter set in a cyberpunk environment. The game's events unfold in a neon-filled megacity of the future. Players assume the role of a ruthless killing machine with a chainsaw instead of a leg. Crime thrives on the city streets, and the hero's goal is simple: clear the streets of criminals by eliminating as many as possible. Players can choose from a vast arsenal of weapons, numerous body modifications, vertical gameplay, and diverse enemies. Deadlink. It is an exciting first-person shooter that invites you on a thrilling adventure as a universal soldier. You become a powerful weapon for a corporation, carrying out various missions. The game offers 4 classes, each with 2 weapons and 2 abilities. The gameplay is reminiscent of Doom Eternal with high dynamics and intense combat. The game structure is straightforward: progress through 4 locations consisting of arenas and collect rewards for successfully completing tasks. Deadlink combines shooter and roguelite elements, allowing players to upgrade abilities, weapons, and costumes between runs. The game's bosses present interesting challenges with unique behavior models. However, the high entry barrier and a lackluster progression system may pose difficulties for newcomers. The game's difficulty and the grind required for leveling up may deter a certain audience. RoboCop Rogue City. It is a first-person shooter dedicated to the iconic character of the 80s and 90s. Despite not having cutting-edge graphics, the game offers vibrant gameplay, a cyberpunk atmosphere, and references to cinematic classics. Players take on the role of RoboCop, tasked with cleaning the streets of old Detroit from various criminals. The gameplay focuses on dynamic shootouts where RoboCop is practically invulnerable, using a built-in scanner to locate targets, exploring levels, completing tasks, and assisting ordinary citizens. The dialogue system influences relationships with characters and the course of the story. The game also offers various tasks, including routine police work, evidence investigation, completing side missions, and participating in detective quests. The creators carefully paid homage to the film legacy, recreating old Detroit and capturing the tense atmosphere. Remnant 2. It is the second installment in the game series, undoubtedly surpassing its predecessor. The combat system and animations have improved, and the locations have become more extensive and diverse. The graphics have undergone enhancements, making the game visually appealing. Enemies and bosses have become more varied, and the leveling system has become more branched, depending on the chosen class. The gameplay retains its core, offering sequential progression through locations, boss battles, item hunting, and character improvement using diverse equipment and skills. The new class choices significantly impact gameplay with unique talent branches and equipment. Shooting and melee combat have been enhanced, adding depth to the variety of combat tactics. The interface is intuitive and uncluttered, and the diverse loot constantly maintains interest. The game's graphics are of high quality, featuring beautiful locations and well-designed character faces. Optimization may be a subject of debate, but the musical accompaniment creates a unique atmosphere. Despite some technical issues, Remnant 2 offers an exciting experience, especially in cooperative mode. Scars Above. It is a third-person science fiction action game that delivers an engaging narrative, shootouts, puzzles, and exploration of a mysterious planet teeming with aggressive fauna. Developers offer a unique experience, described as a hybrid of games like Returnal, Remnant, and Mass Effect. The gameplay involves scanning plants and monsters, crafting items, and upgrading weapons and character skills. However, the death mechanic is not as punishing as in other similar games. Characters respawn at obelisks, retaining experience and all loot. Despite standard gameplay elements, Scars Above provides an interesting story and the opportunity to experiment with different weapons and effects. Overall, it's a pleasant experience suitable for those seeking short-term entertainment. Alan Wake 2. It is a direct sequel to the 2010 hit, returning us to the world of the writer Alan Wake, trapped in the darkness. The game allows players to control two characters, with their stories developing in parallel, and players can choose which story to pursue first. Compared to the original, the storytelling approach has become calmer, but the atmosphere is more tense. The narrative is presented in the style of a mystical detective story. Gameplay includes the use of a flashlight and various weapons to eliminate enemies. This time, developers have emphasized more intense encounters where enemies are fewer but more dangerous. Exploration of locations, puzzle solving, and interaction with the surrounding world play a crucial role. The graphics are noteworthy, with each location being a work of art featuring high-quality textures and lighting. Dead Island 2. It is a cooperative zombie shooter set on the streets of an infected Los Angeles. The virus not only kills and resurrects the dead, but also transforms them into various mutants. Several immune survivors, who happen to be tourists, attempt to escape the city. The gameplay remains true to the series canon: shooter gameplay, cooperative story mode for a group of 3 friends or solo play, and weapon upgrades from everyday items. The graphics are pleasing to the eye, with everything crafted at a high level. The locations are diverse and interesting, covering elite Hollywood areas, Santa Monica Pier, Hollywood Boulevard, and more. An interesting feature of the game is the elemental physics, where water, fire, and electricity play a crucial role in tactical battles. Various types of zombies and their resistance to different types of damage add diversity to combat. Moreover, the game offers detailed and highly visceral dismemberment with realistic depiction of damage on the enemy's bodies. My Friendly Neighborhood. It is a unique survival horror game that deviates from the standard conventions of the genre. It offers a captivating adventure in a world where ordinary dolls turn into enemies. The game doesn't rely on jump scares. Instead, tension is created through a scarcity of resources like bullets and medicines, as well as a limited inventory. Gameplay balances between survival and puzzles, although there are some issues with shooting physics, inventory management, and enemy hitboxes. Despite technical shortcomings, the game leaves a positive impression. Daymare, 1994 Sandcastle. It is a third-person narrative horror game. This time, players take on the role of a former government spy, venturing into a mysterious research center concealing horrifying evil. The game draws inspiration from classic 90s horror titles like Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Players use modern weaponry, including the innovative frost grip device capable of freezing and shattering enemies. Exploring the underground labyrinth, players unravel its secrets. Despite its genre similarities, the game aims to offer its own take on the horror genre. Visually, the game is impressive, especially considering its indie origins. Warhammer Boltgun. It is a hardcore old-school shooter immersing players in the unforgiving Warhammer universe, where they engage in battles against space marines and chaos demons. Developers describe their creation as a boomer shooter, reminiscent of classic 90s action games, and they don't disappoint fans. In Boltgun, players encounter pixel graphics, branching maps, diverse weaponry, and a sea of action. The shooting mechanics and weapon interactions provide satisfaction, and the faithful portrayal of the Warhammer atmosphere makes the experience captivating. Variety in enemies and upgradable weapons adds strategic depth to the gameplay. Resident Evil 4 Remake. Originally released in 2005, Resident Evil 4 revolutionized the series and set the standard for third-person shooters. Now meet the remake of this iconic game, which has stirred emotions among fans. Based on the original, the remake offers updated graphics, redesigned character designs, and some gameplay innovations. The game follows Leon, a special agent whose task is to rescue the kidnapped daughter of the president taken by cultists. Followers of the cult, infected with the Las Plagas parasite, become dangerous enemies. In the remake, updated puzzles, stealth elements, and crafting add a modern touch to the game. However, changes to the shooting mechanics and levels have sparked debates among fans. The departure from some original elements and the move towards a more serious style have deprived the game of the spirit and sharpness of the original. Ashley, whom Leon rescues, has also undergone changes, transforming into a more combat-oriented character. Dead Space Remake. It is a science fiction survival horror and third-person shooter. This is a remake of the 2008 original, where players control engineer Isaac trying to survive on the gigantic spaceship Ishimura infested with necromorphs. The game preserves the eerie story while introducing unexpected and new aspects to the narrative. The gameplay remains intact. Players control Isaac, battling necromorphs and restoring power on the ship. Weapons have been updated and combat requires strategy as dismemberment has become more challenging. The protagonist can also use special equipment to manipulate objects and slow down time, useful in both combat and puzzle solving. Graphics and sound have been elevated to modern standards, adding new locations and updating dialogues. Isaac now actively communicates with comrades, revealing his emotions and adding depth to the characters. Secondary missions enrich the main story, and a system of random events makes the game even more terrifying. Overall, the Dead Space remake not only enhances the visual and gameplay aspects, but also offers an alternative ending, making the game engaging and relevant for a new generation of players. That's all. Thank you for watching. The Image Game channel was with you. Have a good day.